Hello everyone, this is Thompson back again. This time we're not going to be doing any tanking, at least right now. We are in Firefox right now because the 8.4 test server was just released today. So it's installed and ready to go on my computer, but before we look into that, I just wanted to go over the changes in 8.4 versus 8.3. Basically what they're doing is adding in the British tank destroyer line. So you'll have the Universal Carrier QF 2-pounder at tier 2, the Valentine AT at tier 3, the Alto, I guess, at tier 4, and then you start getting into all these AT names, which I have zero idea what they mean. I'm guessing anti-tank, but since they're all numbers, they are very confusing on what tier they are. I believe that AT2 is tier 5, AT7 tier 6, I guess. Gun Carrier Churchill, that's a tier 6 that is not actually part of the tank destroyer line, but it branches off in the Churchill 7. So you can get to the tank destroyer line from the Churchill 7 by researching the gun carrier Churchill and then crossing over. AT8, tier 7 I believe. AT15 is tier 8. A39 Tortoise is a tier 9. And the FV215B 183 is tier 10. 3 new German light tanks, Panzer 1, Panzer 1 OSP-C, and Panzer 2 OSP-G. So tiers, let's see, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 3 is how that goes. And then the Lukes, the VK1602, which is also called the Leopard, and the VK2801, all of those were moved up a tier. So the Lukes is now a tier 4, the Leopard is now a tier 5, and the 2801 is now a tier 6. New premium tank destroyer for the USSR is the Su-100Y. Foreign maps were renovated, Steppes, Fisherman's Bay, and Live Oaks. Dragon Ridge and Serene Coast were removed from the random battle rotation. Basically what that means is you can only get them in chain battles now. So you won't see them at all in random battles. So I'm sure that a lot of you are happy about that. New tutorial, I tried that out and it seems a lot better. And I'll go over that either this video or next video, and we can try that out. Now it supports NVIDIA SLI configurations that probably won't affect the majority of you, but it might affect some of you. Assault mode cancelled for Malinovka and Westfield, so I'm sure that a good amount of you are happy about that as well. And then we start getting into the minor changes, and you can go over that. I'll put a link to this page in the description, and you can go ahead and check that out. But 8.4 is out. Good amount of changes versus the 8.3 patch, which is basically only Chinese tanks. So large amount of changes, and a good amount of them will probably affect most of you. So I am going to stop right now, and I will meet you back. Guys, we are back, and let's go ahead and check out the tech tree before anything else to see what's happening. So the tank destroyer line is in between the medium tank line right here and the heavy tank line down here. So you had the 2-pounder, Valentine, AT, Alecto, AT2, AT8, AT7, AT15, Tutus, and the 215B183. And here's the Churchill gun carrier. Comes right after the Churchill 7, as you can see, and then goes up to the AT7. So let's go ahead and take a look through the tech trees. The 2-pounder is owned with a 6-pounder gun. 57 penetration for the armor-piercing shell, but 70 average damage. So that's going to be very dangerous for a tier 2 tank. Surely not as dangerous as a T18, but still very dangerous if you catch it sniping you, probably. Accuracy isn't all that good though. Valentine AT, 6-pounder Mark 4, 110 average penetration, 75 average damage, and about 2 for the aiming time. Probably if you have the Churchill 3, I believe this is very similar in terms of the guns. So very similar to the Churchill 3, so just picture it as a tier 3 version gun of a Churchill 3. Then we have the Electo. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. You have your choice of guns. 6-pounder AT gun Mark 4, or the 25-pounder anti-tank gun. Let's take a look at the differences between them. The 25-pounder has slightly worse penetration, 180 average damage versus 75, so better in that respect. Aiming time is slightly worse, and the accuracy is much worse, 46.46 versus 0.37. The 25-pounder is basically like your average dupe gun. It really is a true howitzer. It's not as powerful as a 105 that you would find on something like a Panzer IV or M4, but it's still fairly powerful for a tier 4 tank. I have played with it a couple rounds, and picture it as a M8A1 without a turret and with a dupe gun on it. Whether the 25-pounder will be the gun of choice remains to be seen. The AT2 is when you really start getting into the heavy armor. British breakthrough tank destroyer tree. 203 hull armor. I'm sure that there are going to be weak spots abounding. But we can go and take a look at it in the garage. You see that this is when you start to get the breakthrough huge tanks that weigh a good amount, not a huge amount, but a good amount. And they're slow. 41 tons being pushed by 395 engine power. That's less than 10 tons, or 10 horsepower per ton. So once you get here, all of them start to get very slow. Mark 5 version of the 6-pounder gun is its top gun, unless you want to use this 3.7 inch anti-tank howitzer. But very similar again to the Churchill Mark 3, or just Churchill 3, I guess. If we take a look between, let's see, that's not it. Wait, is it that one? Yeah. If you take a look between them, there's not all that much of a difference. Same penetration, same rate of fire, same damage, same accuracy, same aiming time. So basically they're the exact same gun. Maybe you get a better shallow travel speed. I don't know. Haven't played with it yet. But yeah, this is when you start to get the heavier armored ones. And then we have the AT-8, which comes after the AT-2, and 17-pounder gun. And this is when you start getting into the breakthrough tanks that have good guns. Or the rest of them, before the AT-8, have fairly mediocre guns, I would say. Especially for a tank destroyer line. But this is when you start getting into the nice guns for the tank destroyers. Again, 203 hull armor. So I'm sure that there are going to be weak spots again, but it's very heavily armored, especially that slant right there. I'm sure that there are going to be ways to defeat them, but when they first come out, watch out for them. And the only ones that should take them on are the flanking mediums that can get to their hull armor, or your rear and side armor, because otherwise that front is going to be beastly, especially in city maps. Churchill gun carrier. First thing you will probably notice, it's pretty darn ugly. Basically, I believe it's on the chassis of a Mark IV Churchill. I don't know for sure. 32-pounder anti-tank gun. 214 average penetration, 250 average damage. So basically this is like the ARL's. ARL was at 39? Yeah. This gun is fairly similar to that. It has fairly good accuracy at .34, but the aiming time is something you would find on tier 9 heavies. Well, or if you have a 122mm gun for the Soviet line. But for British, German, and American guns, that would be an aiming time you would find at tier 9 or 10. I don't even know if the British have a gun that aims at that speed. Well, before this, I mean. Not the best hull armor either, 88. So you will be penetrated often. And again, you are fairly slow, 350 engine power, powering 41 tons. So yeah, it's slow and it turns pretty bad. And then both of these two, the AT-8 and the Churchill gun carrier, lead to the AT-7. With this one, you get the 20-pounder anti-tank gun type A barrel. 226 average penetration, 230 average damage. But the accuracy is very nice at .31, and the aiming time is slightly better than other tanks at its tier. At 2.1 aiming time. So this is, I believe, very similar to the guns that you get on the tier 8 heavy tank. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of that guy. But very similar, if not the same, gun. And the penetration is going to be the real thing that this guy shines on. Unlike the other tier 7 the majority of the other tier 7 tank destroyers, it doesn't get a 105mm gun to use with it, so it does have lower alpha, but high rate of fire and very high penetration for a tier 7 tank. And again, 203 hull armor. I don't think that's changed. Yep. So has not changed since the AT-2. AT-15, you get the 20-pounder type B barrel. And there's not really all that much of a difference between the two. higher rate of fire, 0.01 better accuracy, and better aim time, and that's about it. But you also get 228 hull armor versus 203. So it starts to go up in tiers. Of course, with that comes extra weight, where have a weight of 60 tons versus only 40 tons. But you do have at least better than a 10 horsepower per ton ratio. Only not by much though. So that is always handy and nice. And then you get to the tortoise. Slightly worse hull armor in terms of the frontal armor. Much better for sides and rear though. It is armed with the 120mm anti-tank gun. The other thing to notice about the British is that they don't get a tier 10 gun on their tier 8 tank destroyers like the other nations do. Theirs has a tier 9 gun. You get the tier 10 gun at tier 9. From their tier stats, I mean, it seems very similar to the Yard Tiger in terms of the gun, or the AMX something or other at tier 9. 50 Foch. So it seems very similar to that gun. Great aiming time, great accuracy, especially for a gun of its caliber, of a 120mm. So, moving on to the 215B 183. Very similar to the Yard Panzer E100 in terms of the gun. It gets a 183mm, hence the 183 besides the name. 2 rate of fire. Yeah, that's horrible. 310 average penetration for its high explosive shell. 1150 average damage. So very similar in to the Yard Panzer E100. Excuse me. The thing that's different about them though is that this guy gets Hesh, which is basically a high explosive shell, but it can penetrate a ton more than your average high explosive shell. So 275 penetration, doing 1750 average damage. The only thing I found with it is that the Hesh does not penetrate a whole ton. When it does, it's massive damage, but it doesn't penetrate a whole ton. Thankfully though, it does, unlike heat rounds, if it doesn't penetrate, it still causes high explosive round damage. 3.4 for the aiming time. That is absolutely horrible. And 0.4 accuracy, again, that's horrible, especially for a tier 10 gun. So it's very similar to the Yard Panzer E100. The difference though is that you do have a small turret. Think of it as the GW Panther. You can turn it a little bit, I believe to about here on both areas, but it doesn't turn a whole bunch. At least it's something though. So that is the tank destroyer for the British. Let's go Germany. Light tanks. 3 new light tanks, the Panzer I, the Panzer I Off C, and the Panzer II Off G. This one looks very similar to the Luke's. This one as well. Whether either of them, I mean, play like it, I have no idea. This one actually has a machine gun for its main cannon. And this one has a 3cm? Yeah, 3cm gun 95 average penetration, 30 average damage. And I will come back to that in a little bit. Panzer 1 basically has the same guns as the Leech Tractor from Tier 1. Haven't tried any of these yet, but they seem to be very fast and no armor. The Lux has been moved up to Tier 4, and it has a new gun for it. You can get the 3cm gun, or the 5cm gun. 5cm has better damage at 70, versus the 3cm only dealing 30 average damage, which is going to be pretty pitiful when you're trying to hunt OD. But it does have better penetration, 95 versus 67. So that's better. The 3cm does have worse accuracy though, it looks like. And then the Leopard gets the same choice of guns. Well, I guess not. Just they got rid of the 5cm. I thought that they kept it on that. Apparently you only have one gun choice now unless you want to get a flak gun. Oh, there's a 5cm. Sorry, I did not see that. So you can still get the 5cm on your Leopard, or you can get the 3cm. I do not know about the matchmaking yet for either of these tanks. It could be that the Lux sees up to Tier 9 tanks, or it could be that it sees up to Tier 8 tanks. Same with the Leopard, it could see up to Tier 10 tanks, or it could be like the Crusader and EOC AMX, where they only see up to Tier 9. We'll have to see about that and experiment around with it. But we're going to end that video right there. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something about what is coming out in 8.4. We are going to do a little bit of a series with this, so that over in the next 5 days or so, I'll take out 2 of these tanks at a time and play 1 or 2 games with each of them and give you guys a general idea about what is happening if you do not want to install the test server. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. You just thought you could get rid of me. Let's go ahead and try out the Battle of Chaining. I am sure that a lot of you were interested about this, just because the last one was so bad that nobody learned anything about it. Well, anything from it, I mean. So there's a little icon over right above the true section that says Battle Tutorial. You just click that, and usually it will give you a reward of, I believe, 300 free experience and 6,000 credits. I cannot remember for sure, but I believe that's what it was. As I've already done it, I do not get a reward from it. Let's go ahead and start. So we have a training area.
Training. Here you will learn to control your tank and destroy enemy vehicles.
There's the narrator just talking right there. And so basically what this is it takes you through several courses and explains how to play the game really. The first one I believe is moving your turret and then your hull and then moving to a certain section. If I remember correctly. There we go. So you just have to look in certain areas and then you move forward into this area, into this little circle. There we go.
Along the road. Take care not to damage buildings or vehicles.
So he's just telling us to move along this little road right here.
Congratulations, you've learned to control your tank. Move to the firing position. It is marked on the mini-map in the bottom right corner of the screen. When crossing the swamp, note that difficult terrain reduces vehicle speed and maneuverability.
So we just follow his instructions. take a pot shot at him. And I want to wait here and then
Use the mouse to aim
kill
your
him.
gun at the enemy.
There we go.
When you aim directly at the enemy vehicle, it is
The interesting
outlined
part
in
about this
red.
too
Move to
is
the firing
that you
position.
cannot
It is
zoom in
marked
or
on
zoom
the
out
minimap
right
in the
now.
bottom right corner of the
It does it
screen.
later on, but you cannot do that right now. So now we're just moving. The other interesting thing is that there's both a Tiger 2 and a Panther. Both of them
Destroy the
have
enemy
a
vehicle.
lower amount
Before you fire,
of
wait for the aiming circle to snap onto the target.
health points over their regular selves in the actual game. So now it's wanting me to take pot
Move to
shots
a
at
better
him.
firing position. It is always
For
harder
some
to
reason.
penetrate frontal armor.
And then we move over here and fire at his sides.
Destroy the enemy vehicle. Aim at the sides and rear. These are the weaker parts of any vehicle.
Oh, it wants me to stay back there. Alright. Yeah, and I'm getting pretty bad amount of lag because I'm on the
To
Russian
avoid
server
being
right
an
now.
easy target, in a real battle, you'll have to keep moving.
And I'm in
Enable
America,
auto
so
aim for easier
pretty bad
aiming
lag.
on the move.
Now it's wanting me to use auto aim.
Destroy the enemy vehicle while you're on
And that's the only part that
You
I
don't
do
need to
not
take
like
aim now.
about this
Auto
tutorial,
aim will do the job for you.
is that it focuses too much on auto aim when you're moving, which I guess is helpful for newer players.
Good job.
But
You have destroyed a heavily armored
considering
enemy vehicle. Move to the marked position and detect the enemy. Find and
what
destroy
was I
the
saying?
last enemy tank. You can only detect
Considering that
enemy
auto
vehicles
aim
within
is
your
absolutely
range.
horrible in every other
Hide in the
circumstance,
bushes to conceal
yeah.
your position. Use bushes and foliage to make your tank harder to detect.
And there we go. Now we can
Stationary
use sniper
vehicles
aim.
are less visible. Destroy the enemy vehicle. To hit a moving target at long range, aim at the front or ahead of the enemy tank.
And almost. Come on, buddy. Low damage, of course. And a
Use
bounce.
sniper mode to aim at long-range targets.
And a miss. Alright, come on, buddy. Anytime. Anytime. There we go. And that's about it for the tutorial.
You have learned to conceal your position and fire at long-range targets. Training completed successfully.
So it seems to be a bit more helpful than the other one before this. Only thing that I do not like about it is that they focus on auto aim a bit too much when you are moving. You should be learning how to fire on the move accurately. You know, while still moving, obviously, without using auto aim. But they're newbies, so I guess that's helpful. And now, for real, I am gone. So I will see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.